Commissioner. Okay, can we have a roll call on the commissioners?
Here.
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 Here. For the record, we have 4 present, 1 absent. Okay, number 3, declaration of conflict of interest. Okay, number 4, communications. Okay, number 5, home program conditional loan approval for Amanda Martinez, 7012 North Cotton.
This is for a home program conditional loan approval for Amanda Martinez, and she is here.
Welcome, Ms. Martinez. Thank you for coming out.
Hi, Ms. Martinez. Has the loan program been explained to you?
Yes, it is.
And do you understand the terms of the program?
Yes, I do.
And do you understand that the Hammond Redevelopment Commission only provides the funding, that we're not responsible, we don't warranty the contractor, you must do your own due diligence?
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I don't, not at this time.
Anyone else have any questions for Ms. Martinez?
It's pretty cut and dry.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the home program conditional loan approval for Amanda C. Martinez at 7012 Northcott Avenue.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the home program conditional loan approval for Amanda Martinez at 7012 North Cotton. There's no further questions or discussion, then roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes, 4 yes, 1 absent.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Be well.
Okay, we have, homebound conditional forgivable loan approval.
There's gonna be 10 applicants. Latasha, I'm not gonna pronounce her last name, it's Douthet. She withdrew from the program. Everybody else is here except for, Miguel Melgoza and Mark Tharp. If their deals fall through, I want them to get approved today, but if they do fall through, then I'll have them at the next meeting.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the two that are not?
Miguel and then Mark Tharp.
Number 2 and number 2 and number 11.
Yep.
Okay.
Everybody else from home, if you guys wanna come up.
And excuse me, you said Latasha
Yeah,
DOU
she
withdrew?
Yeah.
Let me see. So, let's see.
You guys all will come to
We won't bite. So, let's see. Kristen Duarte, is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes,
How are you, who are you?
Christian.
Hi, come on up. Right here. So, how did you hear about the program, Kristen?
Through realtor,
Who's your realtor?
Jose Lalo, Sachi.
You don't know Jose, American, whatever, he just changed, yeah, okay, good. Let's see, let's choose another one. Ms. Aguirre, how did you hear about the program?
Actually, my mom had applied for it and told me about it, so I decided to apply for that.
Okay, good, good, good.
That's our first mom reference.
Yeah.
Yay for mom.
Moms know best.
How about Ms. Gorski, same question. We're pretty proud of our program. We'd like to know where you heard about it. And so that's kind of why we ask these simple questions.
I lived in Robertsdale for 22 years, so I've been around, I've heard lots of things.
Good.
Okay. So instead of going through everybody, who heard it through their realtor, just like raise their hand? Okay.
4.
Okay. What about loan officers?
Yeah, how about bankers?
Thank you. No?
No bankers?
And mom.
And 1 mom.
1 month. Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the homebound conditional forgivable loan approval for the 8 applicants that are here and for the 2 that are not present, with the stipulation that they come back to a future meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the homebound conditional forgivable loan approval for the 8 applicants at two that are absent but come to a future meeting. No more questions for these applicants. Roll call, please.
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Ezra?
Yes.
Navejas? Myers?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes, motion passes. 4 yes, 1 absent.
Congratulations to you all and the best of luck.
And good luck.
Congratulations.
Okay, number 7 is gonna be a public hearing on 2015 consolidated annual performance and evaluation report. Keeper, Keeper is a performed report required by HUD to give a snapshot of activities undertaken by the city of Hammond during 2015 and 2016. I'm gonna now open the public hearing. If anybody would like to come forward and speak, it is now open. Okay, public hearing will be closed then. Thank you.
With no further questions, Mr. President, I move we approve the 2015 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, also known as CAPER.
Commissioners, we actually, we won't need a motion to approve. As long as we had the public hearing, that's the only agenda we had to do. Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, 8 is approval of the Munich parking lot improvements. Talk a little bit about this in the past. Mr. Taylor, if you can kind of go over it a little bit.
Yes, Commissioners, through our Hammond 311 app, which is a great resource for folks that live and or work in Hammond, we anonymously received a issue with this parking lot, which is what I'd say just south of Munich Court. The parking lot is owned by the Redevelopment Commission. It is behind businesses that are located on Hoban Avenue, so it'd be on the west side of those businesses. It's in between the businesses and the Hammond Academy of Science and Technology. So when somebody took a picture of the parking lot issues and sent it in through Hammond 311, the mayor's office then sent it to me for redevelopment to take a look at. When I went out there to look at the lot, I was basically appalled. It's a mess. It has several safety issues. There's holes throughout the entire lot. There's also flooding concerns because the grading was not done properly, or was done at one time properly, but now over the years it's definitely gotten worse. So I was asked to have a contractor come out and give us an estimate. In years past, Site Services has been not only one of the lowest cost contractors that we've hired, but they also have done a great job. And we don't have any Hammond companies that do this type of work, that do the resurfacing. So with that, I'm asking the Commissioners to approve the Site Services contract for $31,783 to completely repair our parking lot.
Is it something, did it just get old in its time, or is it something, and who's in charge of further upkeep so that this doesn't come back next year?
It's a good question. I think because of its location behind the buildings on Homan Avenue, it's basically one of those where it's been out of sight, out of mind. Really, the upkeep really falls on us, because redevelopment, if we own it, we take care of our property. So this is something, obviously, moving forward, we will maintain, We have a maintenance person, Buddy Fenney, that works with us. He maintains our properties. We do own quite a few properties in the city, so it can be difficult. We do have to outsource some of our properties when it comes to landscaping and things of that nature. So the answer to your question is, yes, it's because of how long it's been since anybody's taken a look at it or repaired it or done any work to it, but also it's going to be squarely on the shoulders of redevelopment to make sure that we maintain this property going forward. I should also mention the money for this would come out of the downtown allocation area because the property is located in the downtown allocation area.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for approval of the Munich parking lot improvements.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, second, approval of unit parking lot improvements for $31,783 for site services. There's no further discussion or questions. This time, roll call please.
Solo Presley,
Yes.
Hesperkey,
Yes.
Villegas, Myrick,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes, motion passes, 4 yes, 1 absent.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, number 9, determination of compliance with redevelopment plan for North Hammond redevelopment area for the BP fire equipment storage building.
Commissioners, you have in your packet a plan for the BP Fire Equipment Storage Building located at approximately 3325 Calumet Avenue. We do have some folks from BP that can step up, and I don't know if you want to give a brief overview of the project or if the commissioners have questions for you.
I'm Tom Kyleman, Director of Government Public Affairs for BP at our refinery here in Whitingham, East Chicago, here to speak on behalf of the project. And I also have our project manager, Zawad Liadi, along with me as well.
He's here.
Right. Excuse me. We worked, came in, just background, we came in, met with staff a couple of separate times to make sure that we were submitting the appropriate plans, to make sure we're in compliance with city standards for constructing the building, as well as the pad. Just briefly, the building to be constructed is a non-occupied building that will store fire suppression equipment in our J&L tank field, and the equipment would be available in the event that we would need it for emergency response purposes. We're pre-staging the equipment. The second portion is a concrete pad that would be built adjacent to the turning basin and canal that we would be able to utilize water coming out of the canal with pumps to utilize it for fire suppression should we need it. We have applied for the permits from IDEM, IDNR. We're waiting for positive approval of those permits before we would build the pad, but we're seeking the go-ahead to build both. But the first phase would be approval so we can go ahead and construct the building. Basically what I have for you is aerial photographs. This is an aerial photograph of the tank field. Location is Calumet Avenue here, south of Pine Avenue. The old Pine Avenue extension that runs east and west. Further to the north would be 129th Street. This is the Indiana Harbor Shipping Canal. The unoccupied building would be located at the address stated in the report. Further to the north, if you know where we're familiar with the radio tower, that is out along Calumet Avenue to the north of that location. That's the location there. This is a rendition of the building that's also included in your packet. Basically, it is a facade that would be facing Calumet Avenue would meet the requirements that is in the area with 33% brick facade. The rest would be sheet metal type sheeting, similar to what you have, I guess, on the brewery building that you guys built on Kennedy Avenue, would be something in regards to. Again, it's unoccupied, and we don't use it. And that would need to be by
Is that on the other side of the canal?
Yes.
Kind of, so it'll be visible from Calumet Avenue?
It would basically, when constructed, would not, maybe the top roof portion of it, it would be further inland where it would most likely not be visible. There's trees along there. As part of the plan, we would include landscape improvements along the area as well. This is the pad that would be built, concrete pad, would enable us to pull back trucks up with large pumps, that enable us to draw water out of the canal should we need it for fire suppression activities in the event that we have an emergency in the tank field there. I think as was stated, kind of the highlights of the project, basically the building itself is $1.7 million building. We would store $12.5 million of personal property, which would be equipment, 2 fire trucks, pumps, and a variety of fire suppression equipment. There would be no permanent jobs added because the building will be unoccupied, and during construction, there'd be about 15 to 20 construction jobs. Approximate size of the building is 186 by 57. Again, it's primarily metal construction with metal siding, but it does meet the 33% requirement for the facade. The only utilities that's necessary would be power, since it's unoccupied. There would be no bathrooms or any required sanitary facilities.
Is this replacing something?
No, it's just an additional line. So over the past 2 or 3 years with our modernization project, we've also been enhancing our fire suppression capabilities, replacing old fire water mains that are in and around the perimeter of the refinery. And then this is just kind of the next phase of that, next step of that, to give us additional, suppression capabilities in the city of Hammond should we need it.
Is this located in the flood zone?
No.
No? Okay.
The only thing that's in the flood zone is a pad, but again, we
Pad.
have,
Okay, because I
we
wasn't,
have permits pending with DNR and Canadian.
Item in U.S. Army Corps.
yeah, I wasn't sure if that was the pad of the building.
But the building is not, there are drainage plans. The stormwater drains into a regulated drain that goes into the turning basin. At the application south of the building.
Okay.
I don't have any other questions.
Any other questions? Brett?
No, not.
Okay.
So tonight we're seeking approval of the determination for grant approval to begin construction on the building, and then once we get the permits for the pad, we would like to do the pathway around the fall. We would like to get going on the building this summer during construction season.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Commissioners, we have 2 more speakers. We have Brian Poland, our city planner, will come up next and talk about the report that was submitted in the packet. And then I know Councilman Kalwinski here from the 1st District also would like to speak about the project as well. We'll have Brian Poland come up first.
Hello, Brian.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. I think the presentation explained the project relatively thoroughly. There's nothing really I can add from what's in my report and what was been presented. The project, of course, is located in the North Hammond redevelopment area. And the plan that is currently in place was amended in 2010. And at that time, the area of the redevelopment area is divided into sub-areas. And this project falls into what we refer to as the BP Calumet inclined sub-areas. So in the goals of that plan, and there was crossover from the 1998 plan and the 2010 plan when it came to the goals and objectives. But Basically, I think one of the ones that's very important in this case is protection of wetlands. That was an important goal, and the presentation was that all the permits are being sought in order to have proper approvals that they can do the pad in the turning basin. One of the other important things was improving the visual character, the architectural character of the buildings, and that is where the 33% masonry requirement comes in, and of course they have demonstrated they've meet that requirement. The project is located in an I2 zone. The zoning's appropriate. It meets the architectural requirements. It meets the landscaping requirements. As was stated, they're not really, it's a non-occupied building, so some of the other criteria that we'd ask for are not really relevant. The fire department has expressed no objections to the project. So our recommendation is that the facility is generally compliant with the goals and objectives and proposed land uses and design in the plan in the 2010 amendment, and recommends that, the staff recommends that the Redevelopment Commission make a determination that the BP project is in compliance with the redevelopment plan for North Hammond, subject to the final approval from IDIM, the Indiana DNR, and Army Corps, and of course also subject to the final technical review of all the city departments when it comes to the technical aspects of the building construction and all that. Any questions?
I think you hit it all, Thank you.
Touched it all.
With that, we'll invite Councilman Kalwinski to come up and speak to the project as well.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Mark Kowinski, Councilman, 1st District, City of Hammond. Thank you for the opportunity to speak at this Redevelopment Commission hearing. And I would like to begin with congratulating BP with coming up with plans for a new structure in the City of Hammond on their property. It's always welcome, new construction, more work for labor, and an improvement along our corridor. As I got these plans, I went driving around in that vicinity, down Calumet, down Sheffield, down 129th, down 141st, and Goslin, because since coming into office with Mayor McDermott about 13 years ago, a lot has changed. Much of the image of our city has changed, and a lot of that has happened in the 1st District. An example of that is the foresight that Mayor McDermott had in pulling the Marquette Greenway to the Wolf Lake Corridor and taking truck terminals, abandoned industrial sites, and creating a green space. Along with that, he completed the process of the Lost Marsh Golf Course, which is now, instead of a slag heap, a green space. And so, as we grow and as time goes on, our image is changing from an industrial gray rust belt in the 1st District to how industry works with communities and how there are greenways for buffering so that we can live with some quality of life, and so that industry can live side by side with us and continue to be good neighbors. So I want to share with you the changes that have occurred in the last dozen years or so, and this won't take long. Pictures say 1,000 words, so I'll just bring those out. I'll put them out here first on this easel for the camera, and then our assistant will put it on this easel for you to look at as the next one goes up for the camera. Excuse me. Picture is just a picture of the Lost Marsh in the building, and just a reminder of what was once a gray slag where Wally and I would go with our pellet guns and kill rats on a Sunday afternoon is now a golf course and a green space.
It's actually not a joke, that's true.
As time went on, we've asked companies in the first district to consider greening their spaces and making them more friendly to the community that lives there. And so I want to show you some examples of what's happened in the last dozen years or so. This first rendering is Beamster-Bore on Sheffield Avenue. Once was just a rocky road in front of an old building. New building came, and trees, a berm, shrubs came with it, and it softens the appearance of the industry as the neighborhood passes on its way from Robertsdale to North Hammond. Just another picture of Beamster-Bore, and a reminder that we have good corporate neighbors in our district that are hearing what we're requesting of them and trying to work with us to build a community that we all can be proud of regarding what it looks like and how it feels. BP deserves some credit too. In Hammond, on the corner of 129th and Calumet, in front of their warehouse building, they did a very fine job of greening and putting up trees on some acreage right there. And so to them we say thank you for that, and we're very pleased that we can replicate some of the work that they've done actually in Whiting. Driving down 129th, and you're passing Lost Marsh on one side and BP property on the other, which is about a mile long, along 129th, 9/10 to a mile. What you'll notice is on the BP side is a cyclone fence and rocks and kind of an oily berm and rock presence in front of tanks that are storing whatever they store. But then when you go past White Oak Avenue along 129th into Whiting, it's a different world. And it's a world that is just magnificent on how greening trees and berms and bushes can have an impact on how you view the industry as you're driving through. And so these following pictures are pictures of that and some really great work that BP and Whiting can be proud of. So as we were driving and taking some of these pictures, it dawned on me that there is a precedent set on how BP wants to present itself and present its image to the community. And so what I'm asking for is to not act on this proposal tonight so that we can expand the conversation about how can we get this movement towards what's possible, as an example, in Whiting with green space along 129th and the boulevard, down to where the new building is going and roughly a dozen trees. Because when you start to look at the frontage of Calumet Avenue, of the BP property owned from the Klein Avenue ramp to the canal, it's a very different world. Following pictures depict Calumet Avenue on the BP property along the channel that runs along Calumet Avenue and then also along the canal on the south side of it. And if you'll notice, it's a depiction that's very different than what BP is capable of. And so as they're beginning to now tap into creating new construction on this property that has petrified trees, shrub trees, cottonwood trees, and a vision to Calumet Avenue and all the visitors in Hammond and all the people who live in Hammond as sort of a derelict space. We're inviting BP to join in conversations about a plan, an overall plan on how to make this a place people want to pass through, and that also warms you up to what all has been done along the Wolf Lake Corridor and Lost Marsh, at Beamster Bore, at Airgas, at FedEx, and at West Point. All these are examples of new businesses coming in, smaller businesses than BP, who have made a commitment to working with the community and being very active and responsive about green space, berms, trees, and softening the effect of the industry that lines our corridors. So I'm asking the commission at this time to look at some of these pictures. You don't have to see them all because they do show a stark difference, and what I'm requesting is tabling this for now so that the city, the administration, redevelopment, planning, environmental, however, can join in a conversation with execs at BP to look at how to enhance the Calumet Avenue corridor for now, although the 129th Street corridor is sort of in the same decrepit state as is sort of 141st too, with a lot of that frontage on 141st belonging to BP as well. Right across the street on 141st is a prime example of what can happen with the West Point and the berm and the trees. And you really don't know what's behind it because the green space is what catches your eye. So if you would please take that under consideration tonight for me. I know that what's possible and what's happened in Whiting and other areas is grand, and so the possibility of that coming to Hammond excites me, and I'm just trying to get a conversation started so that we can move in that direction sooner than later and be proud of our corridors that lead into green space, the marina, the corridor, the golf course. And I've also asked other utilities to join in these conversations because they also own large expanses of property on 129th, Sheffield, and Calumet. That would make a difference. Once the larger corporate neighbors would come on board with this vision as they have in Whiting, the smaller ones across the street will, I'm sure, follow. We need somebody to step up like a BP and show what this should look like, and then I think others will follow. Thank you for your time and consideration on this matter. I appreciate it very much.
Councilman Mark?
Mr. President, may I follow up and speak with you?
Yes.
First of all, I'd like to thank Councilman Kowinski for raising these issues. I would like to just point out some facts with regard to our good corporate citizenship and what we have done in the city of Hammond to assist Hammond with projects that have greened the area up. First and foremost, we're a significant partner in the construction of the Lost Marsh Golf Course. There's approximately 20 acres of the course that is in the process to be moved forward through donation, but there are some issues with IDEM in terms of getting the final remediation management plan approved. Once that is approved by IDEM, it's BP's intent to complete the donation of the golf course. Lost Marsh originally came from a project that our employees started over 30 years ago to clean up that marshy area back there, and that's part of the area we're in the process of donating to the city of Hammond. The other thing that I'd like to point out recently is the area along the canal and Calumet Avenue is infested with invasive species known as Phragmites. And BP partnered with the Indiana Department of Natural Resources and IDEM to begin the eradication program. And that program has largely been completed, and the area to the south of the canal along the ditch along Calumet Avenue has been replanted with native species. As part of the project that we're proposing for construction, our project team did consult with the Department of Natural Resources to make sure what we are planning adjacent to our project is compliant and is native species. Lastly, I'd say we're open to the conversation, to looking and having a conversation with the city. But it's our belief that because of this project and its importance with regards to our fire safety and emergency response, that the two shouldn't be held together, that we should move forward and approve this project, and then we can go ahead and move forward and have discussions with the city on other aspects of corridor development. And then lastly, with regards to Calumet Avenue, a lot of the area adjacent to Calumet Avenue is not our property. It's state of Indiana right of way, where there continues to be Phragmites in areas that doesn't necessarily look for good. So we need to get the state of Indiana into the conversation as well too. So with all due respect to the councilman, I just request that we move forward with approval of this, and then we can begin a long-term conversation in terms of moving forward on some of these other green space issues. Thank you, Mr. President, and members of the commission.
Thank you.
And I think I'll speak first. I thank everybody for their presentations. But I do think that we should table this, hopefully quickly, to renew discussion on, all the good neighbors. So if there's no other questions, Mr. President, I move we table item number 9, compliance with the redevelopment plan for North Hammond redevelopment area for the BP fire equipment storage building.
Well, I do have a question. If we do agree to table it, we're gonna table it to when? To the next meeting, to the meeting after that? When are we gonna table it to? And then my other question would be, if we do agree to table it, how does this affect BP's timeline for the completion of the project?
Right. We should all be able to work together.
Yeah, I'm saying, but
I don't know that we can say it's gotta be done tomorrow. I don't think that's our position.
Because, I do agree with the corporate citizenship and all of that. Let's just say, till when? We just say table it. Table it to when?
Certainly for the next meeting, I think, is where it would be, where it would
I
start.
think it depends on
Right,
how
but
soon
not-
everybody can get together and have a conversation on, so that everybody is happy and we could come to a happy, medium about things.
That's what I agree.
So there is no real tomorrow. It may take longer than a week, but certainly even that is a speedy
Somewhere in here, there's a win-win.
Of course.
and,
I think it's an exciting project. It'll be a great building, especially in that area. So what the councilman's asking for, it's not a lot. I think if both parties get together quickly, whether we make this decision tonight or not, I think this project, I really do see it moving forward in the near future.
Can I raise an issue as well too? So,
Again, timing is a concern. We want to get shovels in the ground, get this project going this construction season to get it in the ground by fall. It seems to me that trying to get this accomplished in a short period of time, you have multiple partners along that corridor. It's just not BP, it's the state of Indiana. There's, potentially city of Hammond issues as well. And again, there is the issue of sharing the cost of this as well too. This would be a lengthy process. And our concern is, you know, we would like to have the conversation with the city of Hammond, but it just seems, you know, we came in good faith with the project to the city. We're meeting all the requirements within the district specific to this project, and now there's a total separate issue that's coming up that is potentially going to delay this project. So, and again, it gets that, we don't have objections to talking with the city to try to look at the long-term plan, but because of all the stakeholders involved, I just don't see how you're going to be able to get this done in short order to allow us to proceed with construction. That's just a thought that comes to mind.
I don't see this as an obstruction. I see this as moving forward and a necessary step in order to complete the project. Because we're not just, well, to make sure that we've dotted our i's, crossed our...
In no way did I mean to use the term obstruction. I'm just saying that, you know, we need to move forward with construction this year, and there's a number of stakeholders that are involved with this, and it just seems that it may take considerable more time than we're looking at it on the surface right now. Is our concern.
But I see it as a new, something came up that's worth looking at.
I agree.
And that's why I say table it. But
Thank
that's
you. my Thank you.
opinion.
And I'm not suggesting we're going to resolve the issue. I'm suggesting before any movement on this issue that we sit down at a table and begin a conversation. City, BP, anybody else who needs to be involved, and report that back to you before you decide on your next move.
So,
And I think that if construction season is an issue and is at hand, then BP would be excited to meet sooner than later with us to get this rolling. Thank you.
Well, I would like to see both parties, you know, try to meet in the next month here and get the few issues resolved and make sure everything is in line with what we both want for our final say on this project.
Well, again, so are we gonna table it to our next meeting?
Well, there's a motion on the floor.
He just said table it, he didn't say, because normally
Well,
we say,
a motion to table it.
right, he just said motion to table, so it's open, it's vague, it's like, table it to when?
Until such time as BP and, our
City,
We can't put a,
CFOs
we
can have
can't
a
put a date on it.
conversation.
All I'm saying, I hope, things can get resolved in the next 30 to 45 days, you know, but maybe it can be sooner. Maybe if it's not the next meeting, maybe the meeting after, so that would be like 30 days. But all I'm saying is there's a motion by Councilman, Commissioner.
I'd like to second, Councilman Kasperky's motion.
Commissioner, I'm sorry. I say Councilman, it is.
Until such time as, if I can do that. Can I do that?
Well, what I was going to say is, the motion
Oh, a
is,
new motion then.
the motion is the table. If you table something, it should show up on your agenda as a tabled item next meeting. You don't consider it unless there's a motion to remove it from the table and consider it. So it should, with the motion that was made, it would just keep appearing on your agenda, and until a commissioner moved to remove it from the table, that item would keep showing up. An alternative would be to set a specific date, as Mr. Myricks was suggesting. But that would be like a motion to continue this determination to that date. What we have right now, Mr. Kasperky made a motion to table, which means it shows up on the agenda next to the next meeting, and you know, depending on what's happened.
which in my opinion would be fine, and we discuss it again, or not.
And I just want to make sure you understood the same thing that I'm
Yes, sir.
with your motion. So that's the motion that's on the floor right now, and there's either going to be a second or it's going to die for lack of a second.
I'd like to second it.
Discussion. Any discussion on that?
Is there any more discussion on that? So for the record, to make this clear, we have a motion and a second to table the determination of compliance with the redevelopment plan for North Hammond redevelopment area for the BP fire equipment storage building. We have a roll call then on that.
Soto Presley,
Yes.
Hesperkey,
Yes.
Cadenas, Myrick,
Yes.
Hawbridge.
Yes. Motion passes to table the determination of compliance with redevelopment plan area for North Hammond redevelopment area for the BP fire equipment storage building. 4 yes, 1 absent.
Mr. President, may I ask one last question? So who within staff is going to coordinate this, and as soon as that we can start the discussions, the better, as far as I'm concerned. Of course, I can take this back to my senior management, let them know what happened, let them know the request, but I'd just like to know who's going to coordinate this, if we're to move forward to have talks.
Good, I will set a meeting with Councilman Kalwinski and representatives from BP, and we'll start it as soon as possible, I would say, as soon as both parties are available. So I will take on the responsibility of coordinating the meeting.
And if you can just please contact me, Phil, because I have a number of different things coming up with high school graduation, and I'm trying to take some time off.
Absolutely,
And family is important, so.
absolutely.
If you could move quickly and coordinate with
Thanks.
Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, so I'll work with you, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners, for your input on that. All right, number 10, reports. Mr. Bill Talon, would you like to share anything tonight?
I don't believe I have anything to report right now, but I'll be happy to answer any questions that any commissioners have.
I have something to report. It's exciting. We're closing on Woodmar Mall next Wednesday. How did you forget? Thursday, I'm sorry, next Thursday. So at your next meeting, hopefully we'll report that it closed, and we can then move forward.
Is it legal for him to report during my reporting period? I'd like to have security have
Probably the
him
most
removed.
succinct and best report you've received, especially when you look at the subject matter.
That is very exciting. We're very excited about that, obviously. I always get concerned about announcing closings because there's been a few times in the past where they've been delayed, but I'm sure this one will go forward as planned.
You don't want to jinx it, you want to change the mojo.
Well, you know, I work in real estate, and most of the time, they don't close on time, so.
It's court ordered that it has to close by the end of the month.
That'll close on.
Thanks for that, Fred.
Yes.
Yeah, I got one now, I'm just trying to close for a month.
All I like to add is the downtown Hammond, across from Eat, that's looking real good. It's all backfilled and graded. Starbucks over there on the boulevard is moving pretty quickly too.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. You know, the city doesn't own the property. The demolition was performed through our order to repair process. So it was one of those where the property owner was either ordered to repair the building or the city was going to demolish it, and then there's a lien placed on the property. I'd say there's a very highly likely chance that the city will take ownership of the property in the future based on the lien amount. In fact, I'd say near future. But we also, well, it's technically not a parking, right now it's just like a gravel area. But if we took ownership of it, I think the most immediate and the plans that make the most sense right away is to create a public parking lot in that area for different businesses that may want to use it. And also, we did meet with Raimundo Garcia of EAT right across the street in the old Woolworth building. And obviously, he's very excited about this. And potentially, when he does open up, even though right now he's had a few banquet activities, but when he does open up full time, he thinks a parking lot across the street will help enhance his business and potentially make his business better. So that is a good thing. So thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you too. And, Ms. Miller left, so the reports, number 11, bills, claims.
Mr. President, I want to make make a motion to pay the register of claims for June 3rd, 2016 through June 16th, 2016. Register of claims number R53491 through R53572.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the register of claims June 3rd, 2016 through June 16th, 2016. Claims R53491 through claim R53572. Is there any questions or discussion on these claims? Okay, then roll call on the claims.
Bill Presley?
Yes.
Chesbrady?
Yes.
Reyes?
Yes.
Aldridge?
Yes, motion passes. 4 yes, 1 absent. Number 12, new and unfinished business. Okay, number 13, public comment. Anybody like to come forward? You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I would just want to let you know that I appreciate your vote and that I think the city, this councilman, various departments are eager to work with BP and will come to the table as quickly as they would like to do that, barring a couple days for some funeral arrangements.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Mark Kowinski.
You know, I was, if I may make a comment, may I make a comment, Mr. President?
Kind of depends. I really would prefer you don't comment
Okay,
about the
no comment.
project or
Okay.
only because BP is gone.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, I understand.
Okay, unless you have an announcement.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Signify by saying